Good day and welcome to today's webinar, Agile Load Testing using StormRunner Load.
Next slide, please.
Christina, next slide, please. Brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Today's webinar will be hosted by myself. My name is Matt Anger. I'm a Senior Solution Architect and the Practice Lead for the Application Delivery Management team at Results Positive. Results Positive is an HPE Platinum partner. We were founded in 2004 by John Furner. We're a Platinum partner that offers load and stress testing services. We also offer Agile and Safe coaching services, along with tool integration and upgrade services. Since 2004, we have accumulated a number of prestigious awards, including the HPE Partner of the Year Award many years running. We have served several notable customers and have well over 200 customers worldwide. You can point your browser to www.resultspositive.com for more information on our services and how we can assist you with some of your Agile load testing services. Next slide, please. Our presenters today are Christina Avronova. She's a product marketing manager for StormRunner Load and Network Virtualization. She is a passionate marketer and currently supporting network virtualization and StormRunner Load. Christina has a versatile career background, including product and digital marketing, business development, and account management roles in the semiconductor and software industries. We also have Oded Karet on the phone. He's a product manager as well for StormRunner Load. He's a product owner as well and also supports the research and development team within HPE. Oded is a software engineering graduate with 5 years of coding experience, many of them spent within the LoadRunner research and development team. Now, just a few housekeeping items that I'd like to cover. Today is a live session. It's intended for all the Vivit members on the phone right now. We're actually recording this event currently. It's going to be posted to the webinar section of the Vivit website and visible to all of our members. Additionally, today's slides and webinar recording will be made available to you via email. We'll send you a link in the email and it'll link you back to the website within Vivit. If you have questions as we go along, please type and send them in using the questions pane in the webinar control panel. Next slide, please. And here's a quick picture of the GoToWebinar control panel that usually appears in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Now, to submit a question, make sure the questions pane is expanded and type in your question and click on send. It's as easy as that. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Christina.
Good morning, everybody. Good evening, everybody, wherever in the world you are. I am sorry. It seemed I had some little technical issues during Matt's introduction, but I hope all is good now. So as he introduced us, yes, my name is Christina Avronova, and I'm excited to be here with you, as well as Odette, who will later take it on. So today we'd like to talk about testing in the Agile development, what it is to avoid pitfalls, what to consider, best practices, what tools to use so you can get the job done. We want to make the session fun and interactive, so we'll be asking you some questions, as Matt already said. We're looking for your responses. And without further ado, let's get started. We all know that Agile is the new norm. It's no longer a buzzword, it's no longer a practice. In fact, the majority of organizations are saying that their companies are either pure Agile or they're leaning towards Agile. And what is surprising to me, looking at the statistics on this slide, is the fact that about only 2% of companies describe themselves as pure waterfall. More or less, everybody is going into the Agile transition. And why? Well, not surprisingly, is because it improves collaboration and quality. Over 50% of respondents have said that Agile enhances collaboration between teams, and over 51 have said that it enhances the software quality. And of course, when we talk about software quality, we have to talk about software testing. And I'd like to focus in particular on performance testing and discuss how it is finding its way into the Agile transformation. Let's look at some few common and traditional practices that may be complicated in the Agile testing and development world. Starting with the traditional performance testing, which required significant manual environment setup and teardown. That actually becomes operationally expensive. It takes up time, it takes up money, and prevents the teams from moving forward faster. Traditional performance testing also requires specialists. You need the performance testing engineer. You need the person to know how to perform the proper testing. And those are usually outside of the, usually they're outside of the team. They're not collaborative, and sometimes they may be lacking synergy and motivation. Of course, also, when you have the traditional performance flow hosting, you may be having the performance can be done at the back end of the development process. And if problems are found, releases are delayed by weeks, by months, and if architectural issues can be found. And of course, products sometimes may be released with performance issues that can be fixed in time. And another traditional element, it is the fact that the performance environment is an expensive, isolated environment. And that behaves different than the production environment. It is monitored by different tools. It does, real performance issues cannot be found, or if issues are found, they cannot be validated without pushing to production.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. As Christina mentioned at the beginning of the call, we want to make sure that this presentation and webinar is very interactive. So we've set up a number of different polls along the way, and these polls are designed to make sure that the audience were engaged in the process here. So the first polling question is, which of the following is most often omitted during an Agile release? There's 4 different answers, or 4 different options that you could choose, rather. And we're going to go ahead and monitor real time here as you guys select. So the first one is sprint planning. Second one is retrospective. The third one, load testing. Or the fourth one, the daily sign-up. So go ahead and place your vote here. And I'm monitoring in progress in real time right now, and I'm seeing what everybody's selecting. It seems like the large majority of the folks on the call are selecting load testing. With a second runner-up is retrospective. So what are your thoughts on that, Christine? I'll turn this back over to you.
Well, usually what is most often omitted around release, it is the performance testing or the load testing, which is part of the performance testing. And why is this happening? Well, the naked truth is that not everyone tests for performance in the Agile sprint. Small performance issues that are missed in the first sprint can technically become large bottlenecks later on, just before a release. What you should consider. So first of all, the teams need to be clear that the performance testing needs to be part of the Agile process. The acceptance criteria for every sprint should include the performance testing. And obviously, sometimes there are reasons you can't do the performance testing in the current sprint, but don't push it for the end. Don't wait until the things pile up. Make sure that you can do the sprint, the testing in the next sprint.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Christina. So let's take a look at our next polling question. Our next polling question is, if performance issues are found during a sprint, what happens ideally? 4 different options. Please select one. The first option, the release date is generally pushed back. Items are dropped from the sprint. Performance issues will be fixed in the next sprint. Or the boss gets mad, we all get fired. All right, I'm monitoring in real time. Seems like the majority of folks on the line are selecting the third. Performance issues will be fixed in the next sprint, with a close second of items would be dropped from the sprint. I've seen both personally, but I'll turn it back over to Christina. What are your thoughts?
Very interesting responses. But ideally, what really should happen is item must be dropped from the sprint. Technically, you should not be releasing with production issues. The naked truth, it is hard to test for performance in an Agile sprint. You need a time to create the test. You need to prepare the environment. You must run the test, analyze the test results. And reality is you need to plan for the performance test. It must be executed after every sprint. And you can only do if you have the right proper automation tools, especially when you're testing across multiple browsers and multiple devices, which is the norm today. You cannot guess where is your next bottleneck coming from, so you cannot try to pre-optimize it. You really need the insight of your performance test to know what needs to be fixed, what needs to be optimized. And of course, to leverage the cloud for scaling. The load generation is the way to set up the test environment quickly and automatically.
All right. Well, good. On to the next question. All right. So, which of the following is the average length of an iterative development project? Again, 4 choices: 5 to 6 months, 1 to 4 days, 1 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 months. And I'm monitoring in real time as your responses come in, and we have over 100 folks on the line participating. Most answers are coming in at 1 to 4 weeks. Christina?
Yep, and it is the correct answer. That is typically the average length of iterative development project. And in reality is, Agile performance means you need to be testing. Your testing has to become quicker and easier. You test often, right? You have to test often. You have no choice when you're releasing so often. So you need to have a proactive performance engineering. Slow areas and track performance must be tracked over time. You have to objectively document performance from release to release. And of course, going back to what was already said, you have to have the right automation tool. Doing this manually is virtually impossible. You probably have the continuous integration and deployment. The real question here is, do you have the right tool? Does it help you get testing done the way it needs to be so you can release the great quality software? So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Odette. He's going to tell you about StormRunner Load, what makes it a great performance tool.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Matt. Just making sure I'm getting to the right slide. So, as Christina mentioned, there are a lot of challenges with performance testing in the Agile cycle, and many of these pains and many of these naked truths we found out for ourselves because we are a team delivering a web application.
Odette, just really quick, we can't see your screen. You might want to go ahead and share.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Yep, we can see.
Okay. So, as Christina mentioned, there are a lot of challenges on performance testing Agile tools, and we've been meeting those challenges on our own. We are a team delivering an Agile web application We call it StormRunner Load. I'm about to show it to you in a couple of minutes. And we try to release it to give a feature full release every 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes we need to do a hot fix and solve an issue or change something very quick within a week or two. And the application always needs to perform. So a lot of the problems when introducing performance testing into the Agile cycle, we are facing them on a daily basis. And to meet those problems, we've introduced StormRunner Load. StormRunner Load is the younger brother of LoadRunner and Performance Center. It was built to be a cloud-first performance testing tool delivered as a true service. So it's zero footprint. You don't need anything installed. You just need a browser and an internet connection. It's a simple, smart, and scalable performance testing tool. It's very easy to use. You can literally create and run a test in a matter of minutes, even if you're a non-expert, which when it comes to Agile and teams trying to collaborate becomes a real critical issue and time saving. It's a smart tool, so you can run a huge load test leveraging the cloud and see the results in real time and see a bunch of anomaly detection capabilities that I'm going to show you in a minute. And it's extremely scalable. We leverage the power of the cloud, and we know how to set up hundreds of load generators on demand and allow you to run millions of virtual users in a matter of minutes without you having to worry about having a cloud account or needing to know how many virtual users you're going to need in advance. It has several very intuitive and friendly test creation options. You can create a test from scripts, but you can also create a test from a REST call, a HAR file, or an Excel file in CSV format that you can just upload to the service in order to create a test. So we even have some scriptless abilities enabled. Creating a test, setting up the global distribution, and setting up the network conditions is very easy, very straightforward. We made it a task and a challenge for it to require as little a number of clicks as possible in order to get a load test up and going, and also as little training as possible, because when you're doing Agile, you don't have time to learn a new tool. You don't have time to do advanced configurations. You need to have things ready and available quickly, and you need to have the results ready and available in real time in order to fix the performance issues. And in order to integrate with the Agile flow, we also integrate with a very wide framework of monitors, analytic tools, third-party cloud vendors, and CI/CD tools. And we're trying to fit this into the automation cycles that you are already struggling to work in. And with that, let's look at the application itself. So this is my dashboard. All I needed to access it is my home browser with an active internet connection. I can see several load tests that I recently worked on. I can see several load tests that I recently executed. And I have some YouTube videos available and searchable from Google, some quick 2-3 minute tutorials about how to run a test. Some quick test creation options from a HAR file, from a REST file, from a REST call, sorry, and from an Excel file. And for the sake of this demo, let's simply create a load test. We're going to give it a meaningful name. We're going to run it from the cloud, although we do have the option to test internal applications using your own hardware, but cloud is the preferred option for most of our customers trying to do Agile. And let's, in this case, choose an existing script. So if you are a LoadRunner Performance Center expert and you have some Vuegen scripts, True Client scripts, all of those can be used. You just need to zip them and upload it to StormRunner, and they will work out of the box. If you use JMeter or Gatling, we support those as well. And we have also introduced something we call True API, which is based on a JavaScript framework called Node.js. So if you already have some JavaScript code, some unit test code in JavaScript, you can easily turn that into a performance testing script and upload it to the service and use it to run your test. I'm going to ask for 100 virtual users. I'm going to give them a 5-minute ramp up, a 15-minute duration, and a 2-minute teardown. Let's also add a monitor. We support several monitors, both HP and third parties that we integrate with, such as New Relic and Dynatrace, and we are working on providing additional monitors as well. So in this example, let's configure New Relic into the run. And let's distribute the load from real-world locations. In this case, we're going to use 3 locations in the United States, but you can see we have a very wide list of locations provided to us by our business and technology partners, Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure and Rackspace, and we're trying to add more locations in each of our quick release. Let's distribute the load across these 3 locations. And you can see that aside of splitting the load in locations, I'm also determining the network configuration of these regions. So what I'm going to do, without any additional setup or configuration, I'm going to simulate a real-world scenario where my users are distributed across these 3 regions, but they are also distributed across several network conditions. So some of them are browsing from home with a very good Wi-Fi network, but some of them are browsing from mobile with a lot of latency and a lot of packet loss and a very limited bandwidth. And what I would like to show you is how these users experience a worse performance from my website, but they are, what's even worse than that is they are making the experience worse for the good people browsing from home, because my server is going to be busy handling lost connections and lost packets and giving more attention to these people browsing from a mobile network, so everyone else has a worse experience as well. I'm going to set the SLA. I want to make sure that my application has a decent response time so people can perform the longest actions within 10 seconds or more. I also want to check this option to get a client-side breakdown report or a network virtualization network analysis report, which will show me a nice breakdown view of how a single user is experiencing my application and some ways that will allow me to improve the performance of that application. And I'm ready to go now. Those of you who have run 1 or 2 performance tests in their life will notice that I didn't configure any load generators. I didn't install, I didn't make sure that they are available for me. I didn't choose and assign them to this test. I don't even know how many load generators are going to be used for this test. And that's part of the magic of StormRunner load. What's actually happening now when I click Run Test is that StormRunner load is reaching out to Amazon Web Services, requesting a controller machine, a result collection machine, and 3 load generators in the 3 regions that I specified in California, Virginia, and Oregon. This is done with no additional cost for me. I don't need an Amazon account. Everything is handled by the application. And that means I can scale up as high as I want without worrying about infrastructure. That means I don't need to wait for resources to be allocated to me. And if I'm trying to do that in an Agile sprint where plans are changing very often and schedules are tight, this will allow me to meet my performance testing goals and to have performance testing results in time for the next sprint. So it does take usually 5 to 7 minutes for Amazon to provide us with these on-demand machines. So while we are waiting for them to initialize, let's look at a similar test that I executed recently. I'm going to show you the offline results, but what I would like to show you in a few minutes is that the exact same dashboard, the exact same look and feel, the exact same level of data granularity and analysis capabilities are also going to be available online while the test is running. So we're really serious about that simple, smart, scalable thing. So I can see how many running users I had. I can see that indeed, as expected, they were distributed across the 3 regions that we requested. We can see here hits per second being correlated with throughput to make sure that everything is behaving stable while this is running forward. We can see all of the transactions being measured during the test. There is the 90th percentile of response time for each and every transaction, and I can overlay them and see if anything surprising is going on. And we can see a breakdown of one of these transactions, showing us for that specific transaction how much time was spent in each layer of the network. Was I spending most of the time waiting for a connection? Was I spending most of the time waiting for a download? All of that will help me in real time to troubleshoot some network issues. Since I configured the monitor, I can also show any monitor measurement that was configured in the test. I can also overlay that with any other graph that belongs to my test to try and troubleshoot some issues. And again, the ability to do that in real time is really a challenge for us to develop, and we hope it will give you the value that you need to do performance testing in an agile flow. And another couple of very nice features that we have. One of them is what we call the online anomaly detection feature, or online baseline feature, which is this green area around the line here. So if I zoom in for a bit, for example, you will see that for the first 3 minutes of the test, response time was flat at around 1 second. And then suddenly, 2.5 minutes into the test, it starts spiking up. And if we were looking at that while the test was running, we would also get a notification saying, okay, listen, something strange is happening in some of your graphs. So let's drill down and look into those. So with a click of a button, I can choose one of those graphs and try to drill down. I can see that indeed 4 minutes into the test, things are starting to go crazy. I can zoom in on that exact time or on that exact location and try to figure out what's going on. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, my first suspicion will be, well, maybe it's virtual users from a specific cloud locations who are seeing a poor performance. So I'm going to group this graph by locations to, sorry. This is what I wanted to show you. So first of all, I'm going to group this graph by location and try to see if this has any impact. And I see that no, everything is crazy, just the same in all 3 locations. Now let's take a look and see what happens when I group this graph by network type, by network emulation. And now we see the suspect. We see that people browsing from home still have a decent network behavior, but people browsing from mobile are starting to have an issue 4 minutes into the test. And this allows me to do real-time troubleshooting and problem isolation and try to figure out where the problem is. Another thing that we provide here is a list of other measurements that were having anomalies at the same time, that were spiking at the same time. So with a click of a button, I can correlate this graph with any other graph that was having an issue at the same time and try to do root cause isolation. And we've also provided a ranking trying to tell you which one of those was spiking first, or which one of those we think is the cause for the problem. So even if you're tracking dozens, hundreds of transactions, hundreds of server metrics, and we want to help you be able to find that one needle in the haystack that's behaving unexpectedly. At the end of the test, we also provide an offline report, which should be familiar to those of you who are using LoadRunner in Performance Center. You can customize this report and add more graphs to it, filter it, export it, download it as a PDF or as a Word document that you can edit and share with your team or with your managers. And you can also export the full test results in Excel format and do your own analysis or do your own reporting based on that. And another very nice report that we generate thanks to our integration with NV, with HP Network Virtualization, is the network breakdown report, which also includes some optimization recommendations, trying to give a ranking to specific areas in the application, saying, okay, this is where you need to improve, this is how you can improve it, some more information about the network breakdown, how many resources were downloaded, how long, where was most of the time spent, what was the browser busy doing, and a lot more information that gives you the experience from the client's perspective, from the user's perspective, and help you troubleshoot and improve your application. We also have a Jenkins integration, a REST API, and a bunch of other tools that will help you integrate all of this into your Agile cycle, automatically create and execute load tests from your Agile cycle, automatically retrieve the results, and analyze them locally in order to make go, no-go decisions. And this is still a relevantly young product, but we're moving fast. We're doing our own Agile things, and make sure to stay tuned and check it out again in a couple of weeks because more features will be added. And if you have something specific that's missing for you, we're very attentive to customer suggestions and requests and trying to move with the times. Just before we finish, let's check what's going on with our test. It's still initializing some virtual users. Looks like Amazon is taking a couple of more minutes to give us the machine, so we'll skip that for now. And with that, let's leave some time for questions and for additional slides.
Oh, great. Hey, that was an excellent demo. Thank you so much for showing us this product. It certainly has evolved and come a long way. So it looks very exciting. We have a lot of great questions that have rolled in from our audience. I'd like to go ahead and pose some of these for further elaboration. First and foremost, Said Hacker asked, where can we create scripts within StormRunner? Do we use ViewGen, TrueClient? What else can we use to create scripts instead of uploading them? You mentioned you can upload them as a zip file, but what if we want to create them from scratch?
So first of all, as I mentioned, if you already have ViewGen scripts or TrueClient scripts, you can just use those. You can just zip them and upload them to the application. If you are trying some open sources and have JMeter scripts or Gatling scripts, you can upload those as well. We will run them for you. We charge a bit less for them because we assume that you went with open source because you like things for free. We are going to charge you for the cloud infrastructure, so we still need to get paid. We have TrueAPI, which is a JavaScript framework that you can trigger, script from your favorite IDE, IntelliJ, whatever you use for JavaScript. I personally use Notepad, so that's an option as well. And if you don't see your favorite scripting tool or IDE here, let us know and we'll try to support that as well.
Great, thank you for that. We have a lot of questions coming in right now. We're going to try to get to as many as we can in the allotted time. We have another question with regards to scale-up time for the load generators. It seems StormRunner, you're saying, has integrated with Amazon, to spin up instances. Is there any other providers that StormRunner integrates with, such as Google Platform or Rackspace or any other providers, or is it predominantly Amazon?
So we started with Amazon. We also have Microsoft Azure. And we just recently added Rackspace because we needed, a customer of ours needed locations in London, and we didn't have them yet, although now we hear that both Amazon and Azure are about to add their own London locations. We are considering additional cloud vendors. I think Google Cloud Platform is at the top of our list. And we have two considerations here. One is location coverage. If some of our customers need to be able to test from a specific location, so if we have only one vendor that has that location, we're going to go with that. And the second is some customers do prefer to use their own cloud account. So if you're an Amazon customer, you want to use your own Amazon account and only pay us for the servers, we're fine with that. And if customers want to do the same with Google Cloud Platform or with other services, we can consider that as well.
Okay. And you mentioned that it takes Amazon roughly, 5 to 7 minutes to spin up the LGs. We have a question coming in from Darshan. He says, hey, how long would it take to spin up LGs for a load test of 500,000 virtual users?
So the good news is that we are spinning up all of these dozens or hundreds of load generators in parallel. So in the best case, it would still take 5 to 7 minutes. On average, I think it would take us 12 to 15 minutes. We are working closely with the Amazon Web Services team on improving this initialization time, especially for the small, medium test cases, right? If you're only looking to run a 100 virtual user case, you don't even want to wait those 5 minutes. So we are working on improving that. For the large test, we have several large customers who have been really impressed with how quickly and how reliably we initialize a huge load test.
Great. Thanks for that feedback. We're also getting a number of different questions around integration with CI and CD systems, most notably Jenkins. Can you elaborate a little bit on the integration with Jenkins and how you can develop jobs within Jenkins to kick off load tests?
Sure thing. So we have our Jenkins plugin. We are trying to enhance it with each release and add some more commands that can be executed from it. We also have a command line interface, which allows you to run tests or get the results from Java or JavaScript code. And we have a REST API that basically lets you integrate whatever tool you prefer that we didn't create a plugin for. Today we have basic commands for triggering the test and getting the test results. But just in a couple of weeks, we're about to release a new version of the product that will have additional commands as well for creating a test, for uploading scripts, for setting up the geographical distribution. And we're playing this by ear. We have some very advanced customers trying to fully automate everything, and we're working closely with our design partners to make sure that our API matches their requirements.
Okay, thank you. We're also getting a number of methodology type questions from our audience. As you know, LoadRunner has been around for a very long time, a very large install base, just like Quality Center. A lot of our customers are using VueGen today to develop their scripts. Speak to us a little bit about best practices in terms of the development of performance and stress testing scripts. Would you recommend using VueGen offline and getting all these scripts queued up and then just simply uploading them in StormRunner? Is that the preferred methodology?
That's what many of our customers do. What I tell my customers, both new and existing, is most often use whatever you feel at home with. If you are a VueGen expert, you're at home, you're going to develop an extremely robust script in a matter of minutes. You're going to test it, and you're going to make sure that it can handle even the roughest of applications. And then when you're ready, just zip it and upload it to StormRunner. If you haven't tried VueGen yet, if you're a new performance engineer, if you're an automation engineer who was recently told, you know what, we're doing that Agile thing, you're going to be in charge of performance as of today. Just choose whatever you feel at home with. Many of our customers are able to ramp up on TrueClient very quickly because it's just, click and play, record and replay, and it just magically works. Some of our customers prefer to code first in Java, so they go with JMeter. And that's my recommendation. Go with whatever you are most at home with. I hope this answered the question.
No, that was great feedback. Every customer works differently, obviously. Okay, so I got two very good questions. I want to start off with one from a performance engineer that's in the trenches, so to speak, in Agile teams, and he says, he's asked when there's a break in the system, he's asked to identify the specific point where the break occurred. What in StormRunner can help us or help this performance engineer pinpoint that break point? What kind of widgets or graphs are available there to help him isolate specifically where that break point is?
Okay, excellent question. And happily, the test that we've executed is already live. So I hope to be able to show you some of these tools in real time. So my test actually started running 5 minutes ago. I could have dozens of transactions running in the background. I could have dozens of services running in the background. Hopefully, they are all monitored by either my scripts or Sitescope or New Relic or Dynatrace. And let's say, and this is actually a good example, sometime in the test, one of them started going wild. If I knew in advance what was expected to be happening in the test, I could set an SLA, a KPI, and look for a specific measurement. But I don't always know the application. One of the most challenging things in Agile is that you are always testing a new application. You are always testing a new feature. You don't have a baseline to compare to. You don't have the KPIs that you need to compare to. And that's where having real-time anomaly detection telling you, you know what, I've been studying your application for these past 5 minutes. This is going crazy. Out of these hundreds of transactions on 3 locations, on 100 load generators, there is one graph that's spiking. And you know what? At the same time, there is another graph that's spiking, but it's spiking a bit less widely. So let's drill down into that. Let's check if it's a matter of location. Let's check if it's a matter of emulation. Let's compare that with any other graph. We have a nice view that we like to show to experts here, where we can show all of these graphs next to each other.
Yeah. And
really show as much data as you can perceive in the human eye. And the human mind, I know the performance engineer mind is a bit more advanced, but just find that one spike and then easily correlate that with any other graph that's running at the same time, and then drill down into that and try to figure out what's causing this. So if you have all of the monitoring data, all of the transaction data, all of the script data in one place, in one dashboard, and with a very quick and intuitive 2 clicks to get to the bottom of it kind of interface, then we hope that we helped you get to the bottom of the issues in real time and share it with your team in an intelligent way that, sometimes performance engineers are too smart. If we need to talk to developers, to functional testers, we need to simplify a bit and just say, this, you see this, I want you to fix this. And I want the next time I run this test, I want this to be a flat line. Yep. So we hope that we built a simple tool that allows you to do that.
No, that's great feedback, especially with regards to the fact that a lot of Agile projects, you lack the historical data or the baselining data necessary because, you're moving at the speed of light and attempting to keep quality up to par as well while moving fast and increasing velocity. So having all these graphs at your fingertips and the correlation factors built in the StormRunner can help you pinpoint that break more quickly for your team. We have a few other questions. Yeah.
And one point I would like to mention about this is there was a question earlier about setup time, which we try to keep very quick, even for a huge test. Another time that we are proud of is teardown time. As soon as the test is over, all the machines are down. You don't need to worry about paying for them. You don't need to worry about cleaning them up, collecting the logs, and especially collecting the data. if you are running a 50,000, 500,000 virtual user test, it's been running for 5 hours, for 24 hours, for 72 hours. You know there is a bunch of data being collected. And many of our large advanced customers have been impressed at how quickly, as soon as the test is over, everything is available in our database. So all of this data is literally at your fingertips in a matter of seconds. So it really makes your job easy. You don't need to worry about where the data is stored. Is it still available for me? I don't want to start copying files from here to there. Everything is managed as part of the service.
Absolutely. That's actually a great point, and I know that there's some ROI analysis done by HPE with regards to, today with a lot of on-premise customers who use LoadRunner or Performance Center, they'll have dedicated servers for their load generators, which incur a cost, right? More so than the ability to burst up or the elasticity given within, Amazon Device Farm or Amazon or Cloud, Google Cloud Platform or what have you. You're paying for what you're using, and that's it. It's like a spigot. You turn it off and you turn it off, turn it on and turn it off. So that's a good point to bring up. We have a few other great questions that came in from our audience. I want to just get through these. I know we're running out of time here. One of the good questions that came in from Vinu is with regards to the ability to export. It sounds simple, but you still have a lot of folks and stakeholders within projects that say, I'm not going to log into StormRunner to view these results. We have to report to third-party stakeholders, especially in heavily regulated environments, just such as the FDA or the Department of Defense. So what is the minimum granularity to which we can modify the graphs? As an example, this particular audience member said, I want to get 1 second granularity for transaction response time. Is that possible?
One of my challenging questions. I get that so often. So the quick, direct, and honest answer for that is today, no. Today, the minimum granularity we keep is 5 seconds. The more complex answer is, first of all, we are working on that. We are working on a feature that will allow you to determine the granularity for specific scales of test. If the test is not too long, if it's not too big in size and in number of measurements that we need to collect, we may be able to handle that for you. What you need to take into account, and this is the diplomatic answer, is that we provide a service for a bunch of customers, each of them taking us to our limits, each of them running a bunch of extremely large load tests, very long load tests with a bunch of data. We need to guarantee that each and every one of those, including you, can run a test and see the results in real time. So when my performance engineer comes to me and says, you know what, you asked me for an SLA of 5 seconds to see the results. If you give raw data or if you give 1 second granularity with the current architecture, I cannot guarantee that all of our customers will meet that SLA. So first of all, I say, okay, let's start with 5 seconds, which is what we did. But second of all, I tell my R&D guys, let's change the architecture. Let's make sure that for specific cases we can give 1 second granularity. So we are working on that. You will get that eventually, but today we have 5 second granularity. Okay.
All right. Great feedback. Thank you for that. Two other important questions, and I think we have to turn it back over to Christina, if I'm not mistaken, for a few wrap-up moments here. We're approaching noon Eastern Standard Time, so we want to be cognizant of everybody's time. But the additional question I received from our audience is, during the course of an execution run, which is happening right now, can you go ahead and scale up additional virtual users on the fly? Is that possible?
Yes, we can. But what we do ask for you, and you just need to do that once, before you run the test, we want you to tell us how many additional virtual users you may want to add, because we are going to set up additional hardware or additional cloud machines in advance. Once you do that, you have this option here that allows you to add a certain number of virtual users on top of what's already running, and that will happen almost immediately. that is just a matter of just a matter of a small configuration. So you can check this option here, which allows you to set up additional load generators while the test is running. And if you do that, when you set up the test, you can say, you know what, I'm going to want to increase load for up to 200 virtual users in this example. Once this is done, as the test is running, you can add more or reduce the number of virtual users as the test is running.
Perfect. Great response. That's good because we could foresee this during the confines of an execution run, having saying let's place additional load on it on the fly. So that's great that it does it. Another question: firewalls. Can you address this question? Does it support testing over firewalls?
Yes, it does. We have two common ways of doing that today. Some of our customers test from the cloud, and what we can do is use what we call IP whitelisting. We can rent a bunch of IP addresses from the cloud vendors, allocate it to a specific customer's account. Once we do that, every test that customer runs will only be executed from those IP addresses. That means that the customer can configure his firewall to only let inbound traffic from those IP addresses. So you are still secure, only your account will have those IP addresses, and that allows you to cloud test from outside. Some of our customers are even more restrictive than that, and for them we offer the on-premise load generator option, which in LoadRunner, in Performance Center, and other tools, you would just call load generators. But since we are a cloud-first offering, on-premise is like the other way to go. So we do have an agent you can install. It will reach out to the service in outbound secure communication. It will register as a load generator, and then it can be used for testing an internal application. So the rest of the service is still hosted, the scripts, the test results, the user management, everything else is still handled in our service, but the secure applications can be tested inside the firewall, and all the communication is outbound and secure.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you for that. So we're running short of time. We do have a few additional polling questions that we'd like to take the audience through before we wrap up today. The first question is, how well do you know Agile? Scrum is an iterative and incremental Agile software development framework. It takes its name from which sport? And go ahead and provide your answer. And I won't peek into the polling results until you have provided it, because I know everyone can see my screen right now, so I'm going to hold off and let you answer this question. Go ahead. We have an educated group on the call today. 82% have responded back with rugby. So as a certified Scrum Master, I should know that. That slipped my mind, actually. I probably would have answered that one incorrectly myself. But that's good trivial information to know going forward. So 82% is rugby. So let's move on to the next question. We're almost getting there. This question is, Scrum, oh, that's it right there. It just gives me the result of the question. Good stuff. All right, so hey, thank you everybody for joining the call today. We want to encourage you to point your browser to hpe.com/software/SRL. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to HP StormRunner Load. And if you have questions, we're here available to answer those questions or to take you through a free demo of the product as well. You can also reach out to your friends at Results Positive by pointing your browser to www.resultspositive.com. We're happy to work with your team, also in coordination with HPE, to get your team up and running on StormRunner, which is essentially, as Oded pointed out, Performance Center and LoadRunner's little brother, with the ability to burst up and scale down within the cloud, which I think is the way that the industry is going, and it's ultimately going to save your organization time and money while also improving quality over the course of time. We want to thank you again for joining today's webinar. As I said, there is a short survey and opt-in for more information from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Also, feel free to visit Vivid Worldwide at vivid-worldwide.org. Additionally, I want to mention you will receive an email with a link back to the specific page on vividworldwide.org where you can go ahead and look at all of the answers to the many questions that have came in during this webinar. HPE is going to take the time to respond back individually to each and every one of everybody's questions to make sure that they're answered. Keep your eye also on the StormRunner SaaS website. As our speakers mentioned, there is a lot of product development occurring with StormRunner. So there's new enhancements coming out continuously. The product continues to improve and mature and evolve. So keep your eye out on the what's new on the website. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank the speakers from HPE today. I think it's been an excellent presentation and webinar, and we look forward to the next. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.